Over James Harden's first 7 games with the Cavs, they went 6-1 behind the best offense in the NBA. While Harden, Mitchell, and shooters have done their thing, it's been the recent play of Jarrett Allen that's stolen the show. In those 7 games, he averaged 20 points while shooting 77% from the field. And this offensive prowess has been, in large part, a result of his chemistry with Harden, forming a new dynamic duo. Everything for this duo starts with the high pick and roll. The first pressure point that defenses have to worry about is Harden coming off that screen and stepping into a pull-up jumper. This is a really good shot for him, so if the big is dropping back, the point of attack defender can't let him walk into open space. Over the last 5 seasons, he's attempted more than 700 pick and roll threes, and he's made 36.5% of them. It's not like he's only taking these when open either. He'll take advantage of tight windows or light contests, so defenders have to commit to the shot. You'll see higher level defenders get over the top of the screen to stay attached, but he's a master of using their momentum against them to still get that separation. Essentially, if the opposing big's gonna be dropping back, his defender has to take an angle around the screen that's either gonna run him off the line or force him to turn the corner with speed, funneling him into that drop coverage. Generally, that means his defender's either playing from his hip or chasing from behind, allowing him to go right at the chest of a backpedaling big. These little 2-on-1 moments are where he's at his best as a creator because he's a master of making the big pick their poison. That starts with his timing. Notice how after getting a screen, he hesitates at the 3-point line. This not only uses the threat of the pull-up jumper to freeze the big, it gives Allen time to roll into open space, and now Kalkbrenner's forced to make a tough decision. Here's another example. Once again, you're going to see him hesitate at the 3-point line to threaten the shot and get parallel with Allen. Now Hall has to decide if he's going to play the ball or the roll, and Harden's going to counter. When he turns the corner and pauses like this, you'll often see him initiate contact with his defender to trap them in jail, which isolates the big even more, giving him deeper access to the paint and more opportunities to make that pass to Allen. He even has that same sort of patience inside the arc. This time, Hardaway gets completely taken out of the play, so when Harden turns the corner and runs into Valanciunas, it's a straight up 2-on-1. He pauses and takes an extra dribble while Allen starts to roll, which opens a big enough window for him to draw a foul. Because of how difficult it is for bigs to play these 2-on-1 situations, sometimes you'll see them straight up ignore the ball. They'll drop way back, let Harden get deep in the paint, and hope for a late contest. On the other hand, you'll see other instances where bigs choose to fully commit to the ball in hopes of taking away his space, to which he'll patiently wait for an opening to feed the big fella. Needless to say, it takes more than 2 defenders to stop a James Harden pick and roll. When it comes to drop coverage, the most common tactic you'll see is the big playing the ball, while a low man tags early from the weak side to play the roll. But that's an automatic skip pass to a wide open corner 3. That's a pretty standard read for him. As he turns the corner, he's watching the low man. And right as he starts to commit to the paint, it's an instant dime to a high-level 3-point shooter. The thing about Harden, though, is that at this point in his career, he's mastered pretty much every read. So no matter where help comes from, he's probably finding the open man. Some teams like to ice or have their big play the ball, then come with an early tag at the nail, to which he'll swing it one pass away to a shooter on the wing. Some teams like to have their big drop back further, then send a third defender into the driving gap, to which he'll make them commit before dropping it to his closest shooter for a quality look. What makes this especially tough to defend is that Cleveland has the ability to dot the 3-point line with snipers. Outside of Allen, the 4 Cavaliers who have spent the most time with Harden on the court are Merrill, Mitchell, Tyson, and Ellis, all of which have made more than 43% of their wide open threes over the past 3 seasons. This means the opposing big has a disproportionate amount of responsibility when it comes to stopping the pick and roll. And even when it feels like they've done everything right, sometimes it still isn't enough. While the pick and roll is built around Harden's ability to pressure the defense and make the right decisions, it can't be overstated how much Allen's skill set helps open that up. If he were limited to rim running and dunking, there'd be so many different ways to take advantage of that and force the ball out of Harden's hands early, but he isn't. For starters, he's got really good touch from as far out as 8 feet. At his size, this little push shot is pretty much impossible to take away. Over the last 3 seasons, he's attempted 233 of those, which he's hit at over a 55% clip. In addition to the touch, Allen's extremely good at playing off of 2 feet. He'll use up fakes, pivots, and timely dribbles to either eat up space in the paint or create slide openings for himself as a finisher. That allows him to thrive in situations like this, where defenses force him to catch the ball further away from the basket, and he has to create from the short roll. Another key skill for him in these spots is his vision. He's far from an elite passer, but more than capable of extending advantages from the short roll. So him being a dynamic roll threat, along with Harden's playmaking skill, makes it really tough for defenses defenses to go to more aggressive coverages. A natural adjustment for teams that don't want Harden to turn the corner and get downhill is to put 2 on the ball. But because Allen can catch the ball 15 feet out and be a threat to score or pass, that puts so much pressure on the defense. Take this play for example. Hartenstein's gonna jump out to the ball in a hedge, and Harden's size gives him a passing angle. Now Allen's got the ball in the middle of the floor with a 4-on-3 advantage. You'll notice how Wallace meets him early. That's to take away the push shot. He could have swung it to Merrill for an open 3. He also could have dropped it off to Wade because Dort's more worried about protecting the rim from Allen. But remember what I said about his ability to play off of 2 feet. With a pass fake and 1 dribble, he's got himself a layup. Here's another one. This time when Harden draws 2, he doesn't have an angle to get the ball to Allen because of Sacramento's aggressive help. However, the low man in this case is a smaller wing, so Allen can seal off low post position where he draws a foul on the entry pass. Of course, these more aggressive coverages stress help defenders in a similar fashion to when Harden gets downhill. With Cat out in a hedge, Harden's just waiting to see what OG does as the low man. Then as soon as he comes over, there's that cross-court skip to an open corner 3. Between Harden's elite playmaking, Allen's dynamic roll threat, and all of those shooters, letting them get a numbers advantage is basically a death sentence. So at face value, it seemed like switching is your best option as a defense. There's no downhill advantage, no available passing window, and then you remember that Harden's still one of the best ISO players on the planet. With the way Harden's still able to play at a high level and remain as durable as he is, it's clear just how much time, preparation, and effort goes into taking care of his body. Not everyone has the time to prepare healthy meals, let alone hire a nutritionist though. I know for me personally, it's nearly impossible to find time to cook. So a good alternative that I've gone to recently is today's sponsor, Huel. With Huel, you can get a fully prepared plant-based meal on your table in less than a minute. So whether you're running late for breakfast, trying to fit lunch into a busy day, or don't feel like making dinner, they've got an option for you. Even in between meals, instead of snacking, I'll often go to Huel's Daily Greens, especially my favorite, the peach and hibiscus flavor. It's affordable, it's convenient, it's diverse, and it's helped save me a lot of stress trying to figure out meals. If this sounds like it could help you with your daily routine, make sure to click the link below and use my code HoopVenue15 to get 15% off orders of at least $50. Once again, that's code HoopVenue15 for new customers only. Arguably, the biggest difference between Harden and Darius Garland in this Cavs offense is just how elite he still is one-on-one. That step back 3 is as timeless as it gets. Even when defenders are actively waiting for it, they can't stop it. As a result, they have to crowd his airspace at all times, get right up on his hip and sit on the jumper, which leaves him with space to drive into. Of course, the first step isn't what it once was, but he's still got a pretty elite change of speed that helps him get to the paint consistently. Even one of the best perimeter defenders in the game, Cason Wallace, had a bit of trouble staying in front of him in their recent matchup. It's important to keep in mind that he doesn't actually need too much separation on these drives because of his size. All he needs is that initial half step, then he'll lean into that defender, initiate contact, and use his body to maintain the advantage. This not only helps him get deep in the paint, it puts him in a position to leverage his defender's momentum against them and draw a foul. On the season, he's attempting just under 9 free throws every 75 possessions, good for 8th in the NBA. Between the driving, finishing touch, and foul drawing, he's still a serious downhill scoring threat. So pick your poison. Play him for the drive, and he's leveraging that threat into a signature step back jumper. Even at age 36, he's still leading the league in isolation scoring with an average of 10 points a game. And on isolations where he attempts to score, he's generating 1.08 points per possession, landing him in the 85th percentile. So he's too efficient and too prolific to not bring help. But with the way they set up the floor, helping isn't easy. The first thing I want you to know is Jarrett Allen playing deep on the baseline. What that means is when Harden gets around his defender, the opposing big is forced into the same impossible 2-on-1 situation. Of course, Allen's a big-time vertical target, and Harden's on a short list of the best lob passers in NBA history. So once again, pick your poison. Either step up to the drive and risk the lob, or let Harden walk into high-quality shots. Just like with the pick and roll, this means help has to come from other spots in the court, which frees up shooters for more high-quality jumpers. This is just as, if not even tougher to defend than their traditional pick and roll, so another staple of this offense is seeking out a mismatch to play one-on-one. That usually starts with one of Cleveland's wings setting a ball screen for Harden to get a switch he wants, and this creates so many different pressure points for them to take advantage of. Because of Harden's size and passing touch, if the switch gets messed up, he'll find the slip every time, just gift wrapping 4-on-3 advantages. Remember, with Allen in the dunker and a guard in the short roll, that's all it takes to completely collapse the paint, so the initial action is the first domino in creating an open 3. Even when the switch is executed to perfection though, that's only the first problem. Now Harden's got a favorable matchup to play one-on-one, and we're back to square one. Again, it doesn't matter where help comes from. Some teams get aggressive at the nail to deter driving lanes, to which he'll move it to that shooter. Then when that help in the middle of the floor isn't there, more times than not, it's an automatic blow-by for a deep paint touch. Some defenses choose to put 2 on the ball early in hopes of getting it out of his hands, but all that does is once again open up the short roll or an immediate shot. So a shooter like Merrill will often ghost these screens, knowing that he'll be able to slip into a wide open jumper. This becomes especially dangerous when they go to multiple actions in one possession. On this one, Merrill sets a ghost screen while they simultaneously set up the high pick and roll. That creates options, and Harden will find the best one. Sometimes they'll actually target specific defenders to put into the pick and roll action. Against the Knicks, they made a conscious effort to look for Brunson, then set up the two-man game. Now you're attacking him and Cat, the 2 weakest links on the court. A big key on these possessions where they go to multiple actions is playing early in the clock. With about 18 seconds left, they set up Chicago action with Harden curling off a down screen into a handoff. Valanciunas plays the ball in drop while the low man tags aggressively, and a skip to the corner is available, but this is a rare Harden miss. Because they played quick though, they still have time left to work with. Merrill screens to get Harden a switch he wants, and now option number 2 is one of those spread isolation setups. Remember, they can't leave Allen on the baseline, so help comes from the perimeter, and Jalen Tyson ends up with a wide open 3. It can't be overstated just how much offensive variety this team has between Harden, Allen, and the shooters. Sam Merrill in particular is an elite movement shooter, so you'll often see him curl around screens from Allen to find those openings. Harden's passing ability plays a key role. They're looking to get Merrill open on the perimeter with a flare screen, but because his defender is chasing over the top and help stays attached to Allen, the paint is unchecked, resulting in an open layup. The reason that second defender often chooses not to leave Allen is because these actions can lead to just as many short roll opportunities, which is where he's at his best. So whether it's a high pick and roll, an isolation, or some sort of off-screen action, they've already found plenty of ways to not only incorporate Harden into the offense, but leverage he and Allen's skill sets together. That's without even getting into their best scorer, Donovan Mitchell, the fact that we haven't even seen much of this team with Evan Mobley, and that Max Strus hasn't played a single game. From the talent to the versatility and creativity, this is what an offensive juggernaut looks like. And come playoff time, it'll be interesting to see what defenses try in an effort to slow them down.